rises. So we're back on Balenciaga. Let's look at the name itself. BAAL, ENCI, AGA. BAAL is king. BAAL is king. Now I know. The spelling's not quite the same, but it's pretty damn close, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Now, I've already done videos on who BAAL is. He's the son of the storm god, equivalent to Heracles or Hercules, son of Zeus. Melkart, whose name means king of the city, was the patron god of the Phoenician city of Tyre and one of the major gods of the Phoenician and Punic pantheons. He was also known as Baal, Lord of Tyre, and was identified with Heracles or Hercules since at least the 6th century BC. Okay. Maybe it is just a coincidence. The spelling's not identical. There's an extra A. But then, why do you get this translation, which is the equivalent to Aleister Crowley saying, "Do what thou wilt"? Check this out. Now, I'm not going to touch too much on Crowley in this video, but if you're not sure of who he is, I suggest you look him up. Some referred to him as the Beast 666. Others called him the wickedest man. Some say he earned this name by sacrificing as many as 150 baby boys, the highest known sacrifice in the occult.
Deep mouth from their thrones deep-seated, the choirs of the eons declare the lost of the demons. The kingdom is thine to inherit.
So the name translates to, do what you want. Aleister Crowley's famous saying is, do what thou wilt. Do you think that's a coincidence?
What I
So the name literally translates to, do what you want. And the famous Crowley slogan is, do what thou wilt. Do you think that's a coincidence? And the wickedest man himself is said to be known for child sacrifice. Is it all starting to make sense to you now? Maybe this is all just a coincidence. Or maybe they just like the name. Maybe. Or maybe, just maybe, there's something dark hidden beneath it all. So this is Lada Volkova, Balenciaga's main stylist since 2014, in a relationship with somebody who likes to frequent the playground, shall we say. And since the Balenciaga ad campaign scandal, it seems that a lot of her private photos have been brought to light, and they're very controversial. As I said, she's been the main stylist for Balenciaga since 2014. She also did the Donda launch party for Ye, so you can't tell me he doesn't know, like I said in my other video. But these aren't the only people that have been doing this. This shit has been going on for a long time. The symbolism in videos and artwork. All the way back to the Beatles. Check this out. In these images, you'll see them posing with body parts and dead babies. Very interesting. And the cover of one of their albums featured the Beast himself, the wickedest man, Aleister Crowley. And everybody seems to think that John Lennon was some peace-loving hippie. But they failed to realize he had a dark side, and it was real dark. Check this out. Do these symbols look familiar? All the way back then. Now, most of us in the truth-seeking community are well aware that they like to use the one eye, the six, and the devil horns. And if you don't know, now you know. After John split from the Beatles, he got with the self-proclaimed witch Yoko Ono. And that was the beginning of the end for John Lennon. It was said that John and Yoko would practice dark magic. They also went on to direct a film called Rape. If that's not dark, I don't know what is. That would push the boundaries even by today's standards. I never really understood what John Lennon saw in her. I mean, she looks kind of manly. John Lennon was shot and killed on December 8, 1980. I apologize for the detour. Now let's get back to this Aleister Crowley stuff, shall we? Legendary guitarist Jimmy Page from the band Led Zeppelin was also a big fan of Aleister Crowley. He even bought his home on Loch Ness. Check this out. Jimmy Page and his black magic Highland home. Occultist Aleister Crowley bought Boleskine Mansion in the 1800s. Many believe that the beast himself conducted dark rituals here, possibly even human sacrifice. Boleskine Mansion is still said to be one of the most haunted places on Earth, and the legendary guitarist sold the home for just that reason. Paranormal activity was taking place. Jimmy Page was also involved with the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which you'll see him admit here in this clip. Check this out.
Your involvement in the Golden Dawn?
Oh, my involvement in the Golden Dawn is in so much as I was very interested actually in Eastern and Western mysticism, and I spent time reading and researching when I was younger. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's there were some very eminent characters in the Golden Dawn, and I found it very interesting to see the history of those that had been in it, and this sort of esoteric movement, and also sort of what went on, the offshoots of it, of that sort of love of all things mystical and magical, all things bright and beautiful, really.
Well, there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. He was involved with the Golden Dawn. Continue on, Jimmy. Continue on.
Do you think that's why people did that thing when they played Stairway to Heaven backwards and said that you were talking about Satan?
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm going to go straight back to the Beatles here.
I'm going to go straight back to the Beatles here.
Straight back to the Beatles. You don't say.
There was a time when somebody wrote a thesis about Paul McCartney being dead, and Paul is dead. And if you played back the records, I'm very serious here, it's crazy, but if you played back the records, there was something which said Paul is dead. And so then they started to play back all manner of records, and of course we were going to be main candidates for it. And somebody said, oh, it says My Sweet Satan in it. And I thought, oh, gosh, it's hard enough writing the music one way round rather than that way.
So he had a fascination with Crowley, bought his home on Loch Ness, was a member of the Golden Dawn. And if you ask me, he's got some striking similarities to the beast himself. After all, he was the wickedest man and was known for ritualistic sex magic, so I have no doubt that his seed was spread around.